Good evening, chat. Hello. Yes, we're a little late tonight. I kind of realized we were going to get blown out of the water right away, and I thought, well, I'll let that other show will burn itself out or go along, but they haven't gotten to what they're getting to yet, so kind of figured it out. It is time to go. Katie says, go Israel. Yes, Gabe Hoffman is very talented. The Iranian Revolutionary Guard was sitting there watching Keanu, and then we're watching their radar screens when the Israeli Air Force came in. Brilliant work, Gabe. You distracted the world with this. Steven says, how do you make potato salad with potatoes? And why does it have noodles instead of potatoes? It doesn't. There are no noodles in potato salad. Ugh. You don't do that. You don't do that. Jesus loves you for $2. Says, why, Sar? Why not, Sar? Oh. All right, guys. So we are going to start with actually probably the big thing that just came out within the past hour. And it is the court rulings regarding Trump and the National Guard. So if you guys weren't aware, what happened in LA earlier this week, there was an ICE raid on a chicken warehouse. And ICE went in to go after people. And as a result of things, the guy running it locked them inside, which don't do that because you're going to get in trouble too. So the community showed up. All the commies in LA showed up, started protesting. And as a result, the FBI showed up to help the ICE guys get out of the building and then get out of the area. So as it was going, things spread, and that's why there are all these protests all over the country regarding ICE. And yes, the people protesting the apprehension of Hispanic people are also waving Palestinian flags, which, a little weird. As this goes, though, LA has descended into lawlessness. There are, the LAPD did not help protect the federal building where the detention center is. The federal and police had to defend it. So after a little while, Trump made a declaration. In that declaration, he federalized the National Guard. Now, some of you might say, well, wait, can the president do that? Yes, the president can federalize the National Guard. It's under Title 10 of the United States Code. If you guys didn't know that, I would just encourage you to watch the past 25 years of National Guard deployments to Iraq and Afghanistan. And then also as part of the Partnership for Peace, the U.S. being part of NATO, it sends, like, each state has a country responsibility in Europe that they send teams over to, and have been building support and rapport for, in some cases, 2 decades now. In some cases, even longer. So what did Trump do? Well, Trump can federalize the National Guard. So what happened? So, well, this is a memorandum sent to the Secretary of Defense, the Attorney General, and Secretary of Homeland Security. He talks about numerous incidents of violence and disorder have recently occurred. It threatened to continue in response to law enforcement by ICE and other U.S. government personnel. He says, to the extent the protests directly inhibit the execution of laws, they constitute a form of rebellion against the authority of the government of the United States. Notice, we use the word rebellion. That's a special tool that'll help us later, chat. This is a special tool that is being used for a specific reason. Rebellion. Keep that in mind. So what does rebellion mean in that situation? Well, then going forward to talking about, in light of these incidents and constituted violence, by the authority vested in me as a president, by the constitutional laws of the United States of America, I hereby call into federal service members and units of the National Guard, specifically the California National Guard, under Title 10 of the United States Code, under Section 12406, to temporarily protect ICE and other government personnel who are doing federal work, mainly to protect federal property. He directs and delegate actions as necessary for the Secretary of Defense, according to the governors of state and the National Guard Bureau, which is the organization that oversees the National Guard of all 50 states. It's a very interesting thing. And if you want to learn more about it, chat, Nicholas Moran, the chieftain, does a whole explanation of the Army of the United States, the National Guard. He breaks it down how the U.S. Army is actually like a couple different composite units. And technically, it's very interesting how it's all organized. So he orders them into service, and the members of the National Guard shall be at least 2,000 Guard personnel, and the duration of duty shall be for 60 days or at the discretion of the Secretary of Defense. In addition, they may employ other members of the regular armed forces as necessary to augment and support the protection of federal functions and property. That's where the Marines come into play. So that's what we have there. So he says to carry out this mission, he then allows the Secretary of Defense to determine anything that's reasonably necessary to ensure the protection and safety of federal personnel and property. So they're going forward, signed by Donaldo J. Trumpo. So what did he do? He federalized the National Guard. Now, this happens all the time. One of the more famous incidents of this happening is in Little Rock, Arkansas. So when the Little Rock, Arkansas schools were ordered to be integrated, the Governor Fabus, called it the Arkansas National Guard. And the Arkansas National Guard stood in front of schools with bayonets, stopping the marshals from escorting black children in the school. Well, how do you respond to that if you're President Eisenhower? You federalize the National Guard, and he federalized the Arkansas National Guard. And because they were under federal orders at that point, they were now ordered by the U.S. Army to return to their barracks and stand down. And they went back to their barracks and they sat under federal orders. And you're like, well, what were they doing? They just sat there under federal orders. It means they're getting paid federally to sit there. And then at that point, the Eisenhower had the 82nd Airborne Division escort these kids to school with fucking bayonets. So, yes, they sent the 82nd Airborne in. So that's how this can work. Now, we need to look at what's important here. Title 10. And if you guys ever talk to people who you know are in the National Guard, there's different times where they're activated under different parts of the federal code. Are they Title 10? Are they Title 32? It all depends on things. And this is what they're referring to. So this is the National Guard in federal service. So it says, whenever the United States or any of the Commonwealths or possessions is invaded or is in danger of an invasion by a foreign nation, and guys, we would have covered this earlier, but Karen Reed was going on, so we didn't have time. Under danger or invasion by a foreign nation, there is a rebellion or danger of a rebellion. Notice, he used the words rebellion. Against the authority of the government of the United States, the president is unable with the regular forces to execute the laws of the United States, meaning with his normal powers. The president may call into federal service members of the and units of the National Guard of any state in such numbers as he considers necessary to repel the invasion, suppress the rebellion, or execute those laws. Orders from that disappeared. There should be more. Orders for these purposes shall be issued through the governors of the states, or in the case of the District of Columbia, through the commanding general of the National Guard of the District of Columbia. And remember, there's no governor of DC, so that's how it will work. So what happened in response to all this? Well, Gavin Newsom filed a restraining order. He filed for a TRO. And this one's actually pretty short. You guys can see here, it's Rob Bonta is the Attorney General of the great state of California. He's the guy we see on all the gun control lawsuits now out of the Ninth Circuit. So Rob Bonta, Attorney General. And the United States Court for the Northern District of California. Notice, chat, they're not down in L.A. Huh? Isn't that kind of funny? They went judge shopping. Huh? Isn't that kind of interesting? It's funny and weird. They went to the Northern District of California. It's also where Sacramento is. But they saw Gavin Newsom in his capacity as the governor against Donald Trump. So it's the order granting a temporary restraining order, and it's proposed. So notice it says proposed order, meaning it's not official yet. So they want the TRO granted. So what are they talking about here? Okay, well, they bring up the arguments of since 2024, ICE has made 4,700 arrests in the Los Angeles area responsibility. Mass episodes related to those arrests were nominal. On June 6, 2025, ICE conducted enforcement operations in Los Angeles, including the execution of search warrants at various locations, which they're allowed to do. During these operations, ICE and its agents reportedly took actions that inflamed tensions and provoked protests. In all, Homeland Security reported that its enforcement activities resulted in the arrest of approximately 44 individuals and 78 people detained in total. Many people were arrested. Further showing ICE could execute its functions. They could. I mean, are we arguing they could? Because they got locked in and they had to beg the FBI for help. So wasn't kind of what they thought. On June 7th, Trump issued a memorandum calling in federal service members and units of the Guard. On June 7th, Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, issued a memorandum to the Adjutant General. The Adjutant General, chat, is the commanding officer of your National Guard in whatever state you live in. That is the Adjutant General. So Ohio is an Adjutant General. The Adjutant General is the commander of the National Guard, ordering 2,000 California National Guard soldiers into federal service. They argue that another memorandum for another 2,000. So there was another one. These orders were issued over express objections of the governor. He's like, please don't do it. Despite Title 10's requirement that the provision shall be passed through the governors of the states. As a result, 2,000 Guard soldiers have been moved to federal command. In addition, 2 will be moved imminently for a total of 4,000 federalized soldiers available. He has also deployed 700 members of the United States Marine Corps from Camp Pendleton in beautiful Oceanside, California, and deployed them to Los Angeles together with the 4,000 Guard soldiers. These constitute the Title 10 force. To this date, Hegseth has deployed only approximately 325 of the 2,000 soldiers mobilized to protect real federal real property, meaning real estate, and a presence adjacent to federal property. Now, what are they arguing? That, well, Newsom's claiming these actions are ultra-virus. Remember, we've seen that all the time now. Ultra-virus means outside of the law, chat. It's not right. You're not allowed to do it. You can't do it. And they violate Title 10 under the Posse Comitatus Act. They argue the president lacks authority because he can only do it in 3 circumstances: when the U.S. is invaded or in danger of invasion, when there's a rebellion or danger of rebellion against the authority of the United States, or 3, the president is unable to execute the laws with regular forces. None of these circumstances exist here. In the June 7th memorandum, they talk about what's going on and, once again, how they constitute a rebellion. So remember, that was a critical thing to show. And they say, however, plans are shown the protests fall short. And they are generally understood to connote an organized attempt to change the government or leader of a country, usually through violence. Say, none of these protests prevent Trump from doing his job. And they say that the National Guard soldiers are necessary to aid with the enforcement of federal law. Now, what do they bring up? The Posse Comitatus Act. It's 18 U.S.C. 1385. Well, that's a critical thing because you're using military forces that will amount to an active involvement in the execution of laws. You're not allowed to have that happen. The military cannot be used as a law enforcement capacity that way. You know, there are restrictions on that, chat. So you can't use the federal military to do that. You're not allowed to do that. You can't use them in civil law enforcement. Now, there are times where it can happen, like, yeah, the wheels are falling off and everything. Sure, but that's the only way it works. That's the only way it works. You can't do it otherwise. You can't do it otherwise. In the case of insurrection is like one of the few times you can do it. But otherwise, like just today, Trump couldn't come up and say, hey, I'm putting the army out on the street. That's a violation of posse comitatus. You have to have the right circumstances to do it. You can't just do it if you want to. So that is the critical thing for posse comitatus, okay? And that's why they bring it up. You're not allowed to do it. So just understand that. Understand that. So from here, what are they arguing? Rebellion is another, yes, but generally insurrection. If you're an insurrection, you're at rebellion. Posse comitatus, Hakuna Matata. Well, that's I forgot to mention Jesus loves you saying, why, Sar? That's some great support starting off the night, chat. Sar! All right. So we're going to keep going here and just get through this real quick, guys. Here we go. They say the plaintiffs are also likely to prevail in their claim the Title 10 force violates the 10th Amendment because it intrudes on the state of California's sovereign powers under the 10th Amendment. Wow, I'm sure that's the first time the California Attorney General has said, wait, the 10th Amendment can help us. I'm sure he's never thought about that before. He's like, oh my God, look at this. He's sitting there, he's just flipping through the book. He's like, wait, there's an amendment here, the 10th Amendment. I've never heard of this. They're like, Gavin, check it out. They also talk about the plaintiffs are likely to suffer irreparable harm. The violation of state sovereignty are irreparable. Well, I agree, but it's almost like you guys are disingenuous as shit. Federalization of the National Guard impairs the Guard's ability to perform critical functions, such as responding to national disasters and wildfires when California is in peak wildfire season. And yes, the California National Guard is actually trained to do that. They have quite a few units trained to do it because it is a big problem in California, just like having their prison crews do it. Third, the plaintiffs have shown that this has created significant civil unrest and likely result in increased civil unrest in the future, which I think is an awful argument saying, well, if we crack down on the bad guys will get mad. It's like, well, going after people you think are being lawless because they'll be more lawless isn't really a good policy for a government. So they argue that this will do nothing more. So they're asking an order for a complete injunction. Okay. Well, tonight, chat, we have an order that has come out. And this order was just issued within about an hour and a half now. And it's an order granting plaintiffs temporary restraining order. So what does that mean? Well, the judge looked at Governor Newsom and said, "Us do's what you want." So they determined whether the president followed the constitutionally mandated procedures for his actions. He did not. His actions were illegal. Okay. Skeeting both his statutory authority and violating 10th Amendment. Okay, so background. So he talks about this a little bit. The California Army and Air National Guard are part of the organized militia of the state of California, federally recognized units of the reserve components of the U.S. military, which they are. Gavin Newsom is the commander-in-chief of the Guard when it's under state control. Trump is the commander-in-chief of the U.S. Armed Forces, including National Guard, when it is under federal control. A president can call the National Guard to federal service under Title 10. This is what happened here. California is the largest National Guard in the country with 18,733 members, 12,000 of whom are currently available. The California Guard is vital for all stuff. He says, for instance, 2,500 Guard members were activated in response to the destructive fires in LA in 2025. Some serve on Task Force Rattlesnake, the state's specialized fire combat unit. Others serve on the Counter Drug Task Force, which specializes in stopping fentanyl at the U.S.-Mexico border. And they go through the ICE protests here. We're not really going to worry about the ICE protests. We kind of understand what happens there. We also talk about the federalizing, and they point out that, the memorandum to the this is where we really kind of want to start at. So what happens? So the order stated to the commanders of U.S. Northern Command they would control the 2,000 Guard members. That's the U.S. Army Combatant Command for North America. If you guys don't know what that means, like you probably heard of CENTCOM, which is the Combatant Command for the actions out in the world, but it's called a Combatant Command, and there's a couple of them. If you guys have never seen them before, it's actually a pretty good map. I think it's kind of cool because it shows like Space Command, and it's way up in space. And it's like everywhere is Space Command. But anyways, you have Northern Command right here. Oh. So you have Northern Command, you have Southern Command, you have Africa, you have European Command, you have Central Command, CENTCOM. You have the Indo-Pacific Command, Indo-PACOM. And then you have like things called SOCOM, Special Operations Command. If you guys have ever heard that before, that's how they got their name. And SOCOM's down here out of MacDill Air Force Base. But anyways, Northern Command is North America. That's where we get that. And where did I go to? Here. All right. Going back to this chat. Going back. CENTCOM might be very busy now. CENTCOM might be very busy tonight with the Israeli raid on Iran in Tehran. Apparently, they killed some Revolutionary Guard generals. Buddy, that's rough. So, all right. Although they didn't notify Newsom of their intent to federalize, the California Guard prior, Governor Newsom only learned of the order from the Adjutant General after the Adjutant General received it. The Adjutant General relinquished command to the commander of U.S. Northern Command, and thereafter the commanders of U.S. Northern Command, not the governor, has issued all orders to the National Guard. So they said, respond to these. Newsom ordered a statement saying the government's taking over the National Guard, not because there's a shortage of law enforcement, but because they want a spectacle. Well, I don't know, man. They're kind of not. They're getting to do whatever the fuck they want. And I'm sure when these 2,000 soldiers leave, it's going to strain local law enforcement, but we'll see. They point out that apparently, according to people in the declarations, it was not clear what role they were to play or what orders they were provided. There were concerns they didn't have the equipment or training necessary to handle the situation. They say, although that morning the city was quiet, that afternoon protests increased about 3,500 people, particularly near the Metro Detention Center, where the National Guard was deployed. They say many of the protesters appeared angry the National Guard had been federalized and was now present. They keep moving here. The LAPD and the LASD, the Sheriff's Department, and the California Highway Patrol deployed to the protest areas. Protesters block Highway 10. They talk about the vandalized Waymo driverless vehicles. Remember, chat F, those poor cars lit on fire. They kept going here. We're actually going to skip here to the procedural history. So what happens? Well, they're arguing this violates the 10th Amendment and violates Title 10. And what's the legal standard for an injunction? You have to establish 4 things. There's a likelihood of success on the merits, which is always true. You do. There's a likelihood of irreparable harm absent this relief, saying, well, if you don't stop this, I'm really hurt, and you can't fix it later in a judgment. No matter, though, the fact I'm suing for immediate relief. What else do you have? You have 3, that the balance of equities tip in its favor, meaning the equities of the restraining order are in my favor, Judge. And then 4, the injunction is in the public interest. Well, remember, with a lot of these Trump cases, we saw the federal courts, you treat 3 and 4 as kind of one thing. So there's actually only like 3 elements instead of 4. They 2 of them merge. So they point out, alternatively, if the parties demonstrate the balance of hardships tip in its favor, it need only show the serious questions going the merits are raised. And they say the success of the merits is the most important factor. And it's true, it should be. Will you win? If you can't win, it shouldn't matter. So how does this work? Well, The court decides they're likely to succeed. So what do they bring 3 claims, and let's see. They point out Trump cites Title 10. But he says here's a problem. None of the 3 statutory conditions invoking the statute were met. They say, second, he failed to comply with the procedural requirement, and the order shall be issued through the governors of the states. And third, he federalized the government for an unlawful purpose in violation of the Posse Comitatus Act. And the court addresses all 3 of them. Now, he goes through the and this is where, if you guys don't know any of this stuff, these are all things that are actually important to know. He talks about the Militia Act of 1903, which sets the militia and kind of reorganized everything, because prior to things throughout the 1800s, states had militias that were called up. And you look at, during the Civil War, many states had their, there were different militia units that were fighting, like the Ohio Volunteer Militia was, for example. But the militias were used to suppress problems that were going on because you didn't have a National Guard. But back in 1903, Congress authorized the president to call members of the National Guard or states members, once again, if there's a invasion or danger of invasion, there's a rebellion or danger of rebellion, the president is unable to, with regular forces, execute the laws of the U.S. And they say Trump nor Hegseth specified a citation to the statute of which these conditions justified naturalizing the guard. They say, though Memorandum suggests he relied on the second, the third, or both, it's not clear. They also challenge whether the court can even properly evaluate whether these conditions were met, asserting that 12406 reserved this determination to the president's discretion alone. Well, that's not how that works, because at some point, the president, judicial review is a thing here. But this is kind of where it's kind of a hack job, I think, by the judge. Because it's emphatically the providence and duty of the judicial department to say what the law is. Studying Marbury versus Madison from 1803. I mean, it gets a little hinky, chat, when you're running around citing Marbury as the beginning of everything. Yeah, I'm not. I don't know. I don't know. It becomes an issue because we deal with this time and time and time again. It's, there are limits to what the president can do in courts involved in oversight, sure. But to run around like this and kind of strip it away, as far as his factual determinations, how much leeway he gets. I mean, even the Supreme Court's he gets a lot of fucking leeway. He gets a lot of discretion when it comes to certain things. And the idea that this is going to be very narrowly tailored, I don't think so. They say those federal courts have no right to decline the exercise jurisdiction, then usurp that which is not given. But they do talk about limits to things like the political question doctrine. And the political question doctrine is a narrow exception to the rule that judiciary has a responsibility to decide cases properly before it, even those it would gladly avoid. Well, and that's from the Supreme Court, 2012. So they talk about Baker v. Carr. And Trump argued that this is a political question. Well, there's 6 ways that you talk about political questions here. Is it textually demonstrable? Is there a lack of judicially discoverable manageable standards? If it's impossible to decide it without an initial policy determination, is that a problem? Would it be impossible for a court to undertake independent resolutions without expressing the lack of respect due coordinate branches of government? Is there an unusual need for unquestioning adherence to a political decision already made, or if there's a potentiality for embarrassment of multifarious pronouncements by various departments on one question. You only need to show one of these. Unless there's one of them, there should be no dismissal for non-justiciability, meaning the court can't decide it. So, Trump argues the existence of a policy question clearly for non-judicial discretion. So they point out that the language itself gives the president sole and exclusive discretion to determine whether there's a rebellion. And they say, indeed, at the hearing, the defense contend the president could invoke 12406 on no evidence whatsoever and remain immune from judicial review. Yeah, I don't agree with that. I do not agree with that at fucking all. No, the president does not have the right to call the fucking government or to call the troops out into the motherfucking streets. Into the motherfucking streets. No. He does not have that authority just on a whim. He does not have that authority just on a whim. Not at all. So that right here is a fucking no. They say the defendants point to the language the president may call into federal service members of any guard unit to such numbers he considers necessary to repel the invasion. And he says the problem is the president to exercise discretion, there must first be an invasion, rebellion, or inability to execute the laws. So what is the issue here? So they assert that the plain, and they talk about the plain language of the statute here. So what do we get to? Now they cite this case, JV v. Trump. This is under the Alien Enemies Act, which, okay, now we're to that part. About how does this work? And they talk about judicial review and other courts rejecting Trump's judicial review arguments. And they get through it, we get through here. What does this actually mean? They say, even though the AEA and 12406 are different statutes, they both grant Trump discretion in some respects while still containing important conditions that must be met for discretion to be exercised. They say, accordingly, the court concludes that 12406 does not provide judicial review whether the rebellion occurred or in danger of occurring, or whether Trump is unable to execute the law. Well, that's true. Okay. And actually, I'm okay with that. I don't think it's going to work, though. And they say this doesn't involve foreign policy or national security questions, and instead it's the domestic use of military force, a matter on which the courts can certainly weigh in. As the Supreme Court said over 50 years ago, they do have the right to do that. And they say between the unique concerns raised by the federal military intrusion into civilian affairs and the fact that federal officials are not uniquely positioned to ascertain what is happening on the ground, unlike local or state officials, the court's not convinced the judiciary cannot question presidential assertions about domestic activities. And he says at bottom, 12406 does not reserve to sole presidential discretion or the determination of whether rebellion has or is in danger of occurring, or whether the president is unable to execute federal law. So they turn to the question of whether there was a rebellion or the president's unable with the regular forces to execute the laws. And they talk about rebellion. Well, the statute doesn't define rebellion, so you have to do the ordinary meaning of Congress at the time it was enacted. So what do you look at? Okay, well, we have to look back to the time it happened, and what does it mean? So the quote of rebellion from the current edition of Black's Law Dictionary, the favorite of all sovereign citizens, is very simple. It's very simple. It's an open, organized, and armed resistance to an established government or ruler, an organized attempt to change the government or leader of a country, usually through violence. The open resistance or opposition to an authority or tradition, historical disobedience of a legal command or summons. Well, I mean, there's a history of sanctuary cities. You could almost make that argument there. I don't know. They say the court's own research has turned to the following definitions, and that's deliberate organized resistance by force and arms. Makes sense. An open and avowed renunciation of the authority of a government. They say insurrection maybe, but it's not necessarily rebellion. Yeah, well, rebellion differs from insurrection and from mutiny. I mean, does it really? And they say insurrection is maybe arising to a specific thing without wholly renouncing the government, which I don't know. Anyways, open resistance to lawful authority. They list a couple other ones here. So the judge keeps going. And he says the first definition of rebellion is political in nature as opposed to the more open-minded concept of rebellion. I mean, but if he's going by that argument, people who are rising in opposition to a particular act or law without a design to renounce wholly all subjection to the government. Okay, so it looks like you're acknowledging it's an insurrection. I'm pretty sure the Insurrection Act would allow the deployment of National Guard troops. Once again, I don't think you guys have to be careful these arguments you make. You have to be careful. Because now it makes it sound like you're arguing it's a fucking insurrection. And they say if there were any room for doubt, the language of 12406 resolved the question in favor of the political definition of rebellion. And they say dictionary terms show that a rebellion must not be violent, but also armed. Well, what does armed mean? Are we saying armed now means guns? Because it'd be funny if you went to this judge with what is the definition of arms in a Second Amendment case, he would say they don't include guns. But armed with what? Weapons? Well, there's a lot of weapons. A rock's a weapon. A rebellion must be organized. I mean, how organized? There's a lot of money supporting them. Is that organized? A rebellion must be open and avowed. It's pretty open and avowed. A rebellion must be against the government as a whole, often with the aim of overthrowing the government, rather in opposition to a single law issue. So it's an insurrection. Is that better? I mean, that's the argument we're going to make. It's all an insurrection. They're insurrection, against immigration laws. Okay, well, that just changes everything. Are you do people like this judge sometimes think what they're doing for people and how more what did they do to this to make this more difficult? Yeah, I mean, are we going to argue it's an insurrection now? Because I think it is. So these are falls far short of rebellion. The defendants refer to violent rioters and mobs. So the court pauses to state there can be no debate that most protesters demonstrated peacefully. Nor is it also beyond debate that some individuals use the protest as an excuse for violence and destruction. Some bad actors, So, a lot of violent crowds. It's like... Violence is necessary for rebellion, but is not sufficient. Even accepting the questionable premise that people armed with fireworks, rocks, people armed with fireworks can burn and maim. They're fucking bombs when they go off at ground level. Mangoes, concrete chairs, and bottles of liquid are armed in an 1803 sense. The court is aware of no evidence in the record of actual firearms. There was video of a guy shooting on the street corner, it looked like. There's little, at some point, it probably is going to happen, and God almighty if it does. There's little evidence of whether the protesters' actions were open or avowed. Presumably, they engaged in violently with those officers at close quarters in the daylight, while many others threw items under the cover of darkness protected by a crowd. And notice the judge underlined certainly the peaceful protesters were organized. So they keep moving on. They say nor there's any violent evidence of any of the violent protesters were attempting to overthrow the government as a whole. So it's an insurrection. Thank you. And moreover, the court is troubled by the implications of the defendant's argument for the federal government. A core civil liberty protected by the First Amendment can justify finding a rebellion. Well, if it was just people protesting, it probably wouldn't have happened. So, just saying. Just saying there. So, and this is actually kind of a important thing here from Tinker versus Des Moines Schools. This is a free speech case. And he says that the error may at times be seen filled with a verbal cacophony is in this sense not a sign of weakness, but of strength. And yes, are there loud, healthy protests? So you keep going through all this to what is he going to get to here? Well, they talk about the peaceful protests do not lose their protection merely because isolated individuals act violently outside the protections of the First Amendment. Well, if only that worked in regards to the Second Amendment, if only had that kind of protection. Gee, I wonder what we would have today. So they say ultimately, even if there was no rebellion that would justify the National Guard, what if there was a danger of rebellion? They say that this doesn't withstand scrutiny. He says that it still doesn't cut it. It still doesn't cut it. He ultimately says that there's a difference between rebellion and danger of rebellion must be a difference of degree, not one of kind. So there has to be a danger of an organized, violent, and armed uprising. Well, still doesn't work. So this one doesn't work according to the judge. The execution of laws. So the defendants admitted that ICE arrested 44 people on June 6th, but insisted that limited success came with the risk of danger. Well, danger is kind of what happens. And they say that whether ICE could have detained more people is mere conjecture. That's true. Oh, well, they could have done more, Your Honor. Well, that's all speculative. Even assuming they're correct, the statute doesn't allow for federalizing on the National Guard when the president faces obstacles that cause him to underperform. Meaning he is performing, just not as good as he wants. He also says that we don't care that there's risk. Although the course of federal employees should never have to fear danger when performing their jobs. I'm sure he had to say that to make sure the security guards didn't walk away. They state the statute requires a president unable to execute the laws of the United States. Once again, like integrating a school system. They say that didn't happen here. That did not happen here. They say the only other time in this history the president has relied on 12406 to federalize the National Guard is the 1970 postal strike. I only know about it. I don't know it. I've known about the postal strike, but I have never read anything about it. And I wonder if there's, hold on here. So let's see here. Was it? Oh, yeah. So here you guys go. What are they talking about here? It's the 8-day strike. It was an 8-day strike by postal workers. It's the strike is against U.S. government. It was regarded as illegal. An illegal strike is known as a wildcat strike under labor law. Wildcat strikes are a thing where if you don't have union representation or if you do it illegally, that becomes an issue. So there was the Postal Reorganization Act. And it gave them a little bit better bargaining. But the National Guard and other military members were called in to distribute mail and break the strike, which you're like, okay, based strike breaking. Oh, it's back when postal employees were a little trigger happy. Yeah. Bella says, didn't Lincoln use an insurrection during the draft riots? Yes. Abraham Lincoln basically jailed an entire state legislator because they were opposed to the draft. Lincoln did a lot of shit. If he didn't get his way. He had done that to the members of Maryland's legislator that were arrested. I mean, he did a lot of shit. So yeah, we're not cheering Lincoln on here right now. So, so 25 personnel from the National Guard and other branches in New York City, got some mail moving. They did what they could. They did what they could. And they point out why ICE can't detain as many people as they believe it could have. ICE was able to execute immigration laws. So they don't get that. Now he talks about the procedural requirements. And he also says, like, look, you have to tell the governor. It has to be through the governor. And they point out that they say we don't have to determine. We do not require the court to determine whether or how. If Governor Newsom had refused, how would everybody get what they could at that point? So there are all kinds of issues here that have not been addressed. They finally get to the Posse Comitatus Act. If you guys haven't seen it, to address this issue here, and they say, the Posse Comitatus Act does not provide a private cause of action for damages, and it's true. But you can bring a case under ultra vires when you assert the case here in the agency is disregarded a specific unambiguous statutory directive. And they argue that if this is done, this whole thing is ultra vires. So what do we get? What do we turn into now? Well, they argue at this point that they're worried about the government supporting the physical confronting, detaining, or searching of civilians, which would constitute executing civil laws. And that's true. It's one thing to have them be security. It's another thing to have them start checking people and searching people. And it's like, well, you guys should be handling that. Now, they point out there's issues because the guard members have been photographed standing near ICE agents. Well, it's kind of where they're working. The plaintiffs do not contend the National Guard members have, in fact, participated in the arrest. But I'm sure it looks really bad, and there's a concern they might, because if they arrest someone... So, for example, if somebody comes up and attacks an ICE guy, is that National Guard soldier going to go, sorry, buddy, I'm under federal orders, can't hurt you, can't help you? No, I'm sure he's going to be like, he doesn't want to get hit either. Wait, Gabe said my name 10 times in the past 2 minutes. Nice. What do you call Nick a potentially criminal? ADT is saying, is martial law an option? No. No, we're not to the point of martial law. And we wouldn't want that anyway. We would not want that. That'd be very proud. If Trump did that, we'd have a lot of problems, chat. So, they talk about Trump saying he's liberating Los Angeles from the migrant invasion. Based. Needs to happen. So we keep moving. And they say that the government has already concluded, I concluded they already executed the lawful authority. So because of that, we're going to move on to the 10th Amendment. So the 10th Amendment claims, the 10th Amendment is important. They said, and even if this wasn't the case, they say the defendants failed to grapple the second part of the 10th Amendment claim. The use of the National Guard Marines comes into conflict with California's police power. And they say it's well established that police power is one of the quintessential powers reserved to the states by the 10th Amendment. And once again, I'm glad we found a court who supports the 10th Amendment. Mega-based. Let's just be mega-based on everything else. We know you're not, but, come on now. They point out that although there are some stray violent incidents, I'm sure they're not stray or very scant. I'm pretty sure they're serious to the people dealing with them, and I'm sure they're often enough that it's causing problems right now across LA. He says it is not the federal government's place to take over a state's police power whenever it is dissatisfied with how vigorously the state's enforcing its own laws. They say it is not the province of the national authorities to determine whether something pursued by the state is wise or unwise. So they point out that, federal authority extends to protecting legitimate federal interest. But the problem is, are they there to protect federal personnel and facilities or to engage in more routine law enforcement? They point out there's a lot of problems here. And they said, had the defendants complied with the substantive and procedural requirements of 12406, they said that may have well have overrode Newsom's interest in retaining his soldiers. Well, they point out that, this violates the 10th Amendment. For the reasons above, the plaintiffs are likely to succeed. Are you really? Are you really? I don't know if you guys are. So what happened ultimately? Well, let's skip to the chase, chat, because we've been here long enough. So they say for the foregoing conclusion, we grant plaintiff's motion for temporary order. They say the defendants are temporarily enjoined from deploying members of the National Guard in LA. They say the defendants are directed to return control of the National Guard to Gavin Newsom. The court further stays this order until 12 noon on Friday. Trump's going to appeal to the Ninth Circuit. The plaintiffs are ordered to post a nominal bond of $100 within 24 hours. It shall be filed with the clerk's office and deposited into the registry of court. But if he said bond is not posited, this order shall be dissolved. They say the defense are further ordered to show cause why a preliminary injunction should not issue. Now, remember, chat, a TRO can turn into a preliminary injunction. And remember the whole argument. We went back through the Supreme Court cases. They're like, well, are they really the same thing? Or are they different things technically at different times? How does that work? And remember, a couple of these cases, the justices were punting and dancing around like crazy. What is the thing we want to avoid? So it's stay till tomorrow. We'll find out what happens. But for now, it's on the chopping block. Signed, Charles Breyer, United States Judge. Sure. So that is where we are, chat. That is where we are. As of right now, the government is a bit on the ropes. But we'll see. You think it's going to get worse? I think you have to. Remember, guys, we're going to find out a lot about the extent of Article 2 power. And I'm sure the courts are going to defer because they don't want to be seen as limiting it. Because eventually the Supreme Court's going to be like, no. So I don't think you can. But when you start off screaming about Marbury, it's not looking good. Yeah, well, Bella, when it's a Bill Clinton appointee, and he cited something because it was convenient for him, I'm sure he doesn't give a shit about the 10th Amendment ultimately. So, it is what it is. Now, there's some other updates in the LA riots, and this is once again we're learning, guys, and all those of you out there, 2025 rioters, do not make Molotov cocktails. You will go to federal prison for that. They are federally controlled items. Do not make Molotovs. If you're going to make them finish style so they actually work. And what happened, chat? Well, somebody decided to get caught committing a felony on camera. I mean, why do you guys do this to yourselves?
Nigga, is you taking notes on a criminal fucking conspiracy? What the fuck is you thinking, man?
I know. What is you thinking? What is you thinking? Well, it's very interesting what happened. because it's not really funny and weird. But I mean, if you don't like comedies, it's hilarious. So what happened? So federal charges were announced in Molotov cocktail attacks that were going on during the protest. Now, what do we know? So a couple of guys were charged by the feds for hurling Molotovs at ICE government officials during an ICE protest. Well, what do we have? We have this guy here. So this is a video somebody was filming of a guy standing around playing with a lighter and having a rag with a bottle in it. I'm sure no one's going to notice. I'm sure nobody's going to notice, chat. So look at him. He's just like, dum-dee-dum-dee-dum-dee-dum. Just don't mind me. I'm just going to play with a firebomb. Do-doop, do-doop, do-doop. Do-doop, do-doop, do-doop. Do-doop, do-doop. Do-doop, doop, doop. Doop, doop. As he starts walking away. Look at him. Just walking away as he started a fire. This is how you fight the patriarchy. This is how you fight. Look at him. Look at him go. Oh, brilliant, chat. So what do we know? Well, this guy got arrested. This guy got arrested. What a moron. He got arrested. His name is Emiliano Garduno Galvez. It's like, So he had been arrested in Anaheim for grand theft and DUI in Long Beach. In addition, he has been previously deported. No way. Nobody saw this coming, chat. No one saw it coming. No way. No way. But God, here he comes with his immigration visa. But God. Yes, afuera. Yes, he's going to get afuera'd. So he's going to have fun with that. He's going to have all kinds of fun with that tomorrow. I hope he does. It'll be great. But that is the update for what's going on in LA right now. Yes, he is a heckin' illegarino. 100% he is. 100% he is. All right. Chat, hold on here. Got too much crap on the screen. Gotta slim it down. All right. So since then, got some other people have had some bad days, chat. So what happened? Well, Harvey Weinstein had a retrial in the state of New York, and didn't go well for Harvey because what happened? He had a bunch of rape charges, and here's Harvey Weinstein. Yes, the jury foreman refused to deliberate about this. So there was some juror funny business for Harvey Weinstein. Now, this is an interesting thing here. This is from their case. This is from NBC filming it locally. And here's what the local affiliate says happened.
Of 5 years on the charge for which he was found guilty. As for the mistrial, again, they are ready, according to the prosecution, to go back at it again on this charge. And if they do...
Harvey Weinstein had rape and a couple other charges. He got convicted of one count, but the other ones were left standing as hung juries. So the court ordered a mistrial, but is enforcing the conviction that had been achieved.
It'll be the third time that Harvey Weinstein will face the jury and a court for the charge of rape. Ellison?
And Rahima, after trials, jurors are usually allowed to speak publicly if they choose. Have we heard anything by chance from anyone who was on this particular group of jurors?
Indeed. I had a chance to talk to juror number 12 about what was going on in the courtroom. As you know, there was a lot of drama around the four-person juror number one, his concerns that he felt that he was being bullied or being coerced into changing his mind about what the verdict should be on, particularly on the second charge. But listen to what juror number 12 says about the question of whether or not it was a lot of heated discussion. Take a listen.
This is where it gets interesting. Listen to this stuff.
Was anybody threatening juror number one, the
No,
four
it wasn't
person?
as bad as it sounded.
It wasn't about.
It wasn't as bad as
jury
it.
again?
I would.
You would.
Yeah.
We also learned that they decided on those other two charges on Tuesday, according to this juror, and he said he was disappointed that it ended in a mistrial. Ellison?
NBC's Rahema Ellis. Thank
So there you go, chat. That kind of gives the idea of what's going on for Harvey Weinstein. That's important for you guys to hear the jury stuff there. Joe says I missed all that. Well, I don't know what to tell you. Couldn't they have just missed that juror and put in an alternate? No. So, and here's the interesting part of this. So, they unanimously found Harvey Weinstein guilty of sexually assaulting one woman, but they had problems with the rape charges. And right before the partial verdict was announced, the foreman told the court he had been threatened by a member of the panel who told him, "You know me, you going to see me outside." So when the jury returned, the jury foreman said, "I'm done." And he said, "Are you willing to go in and continue to deliberate?" "No, sorry." So the ADA in New York City said, "We want to retry him again on the rape charge, but we'll let him walk on everything else because he's already going to get prison for that. So he's already good to go." So the judge has said, Harvey Weinstein's attorney said, "Look, we've already done this twice, no third trial." And the judge is setting a hearing on July 2nd. So Harvey Weinstein left the courtroom in a wheelchair. And yeah, chat, he's apparently really degraded a lot, although I think a lot of that show. But yes, from being the Harvey Weinstein and all the pictures that you see, it's a very different man now. It's a very, very different man. So, the jurors who were involved, and yeah, one of the jurors like, "Oh, it wasn't as bad as somebody said. It was a conversation. It was an animated conversation." So, it'll be interesting to see how that's set up and who actually did things here. So, it is critical to know that Harvey Weinstein has these violent, like this stuff is all going on. It's kind of funny. I'm sure that won't happen in Karen Reed at all. Ghost says double jeopardy not been applied. It is. Double jeopardy still applies. A mistrial results in a hung jury. That means there's no verdict. If there's no verdict for not guilty, you're getting retried, or guilty. Because remember, you could be convicted, and they still can't retry you. But a mistrial and a hung jury, you can get retried 1,000,000 times till you get convicted. If there's 999,999, juries that get deadlocked and there's a mistrial, that means you could do time 1,000,000. Like, that's how it works. You just you can keep going till you get one. So, so the black guy threatened the foreman. I'm confused. I'm sure he did. I'm sure the black guy was threatening the foreman. I'm totally sure that's how it happened. Makes a lot of sense that way. It makes a lot of sense that way. I'm sure it's the way it makes sense to me. So, oh, let's keep going, chat. Let's keep going here. Let's see here. People said mean copium sniping me. I don't know about that, chat. I don't know about that. I don't know if I could tolerate that. So, All right, the writers are blocking Adis from chasing them. Well, that's kind of funny. Illegals are escaping from an ICE facility, and that'll be hilarious. All right, so bye-bye, Harvey Weinstein. You're going away. Real quick, we have a thing here new. This is just kind of like one of those like, oh, kind of interesting. You guys remember the song, the watch me whip, now watch me nay nay. That guy, the rapper Silento gets 30 years in prison. He's for shooting his cousin. You're like, what the fuck happened here with this guy? But yes, he pled guilty to voluntary manslaughter and killed his cousin. 30 years though, chat. 30 years. That's a lot of time. This is him when he made his song. He got 30 years in prison for shooting his cousin. Ooh, buddy. That's rough. That's rough. So, he pled guilty but mentally ill, and that's what you're allowed to do in Georgia, to voluntary manslaughter, aggravated assault, possessing a firearm while committing a crime. And yeah, so don't be killing people, chat. Like, people will find out for you. People will find out for you. And from here, I just wanted to bring this up because we're moving on to a subject that's part of what's going on with things right now. And you guys probably saw this. So there is a YouTuber who's been charged with murder for killing his fellow YouTuber on the Las Vegas Strip on Sunday. So it involves a guy named Sin City Manny as one of the people involved. Another guy known as Finney the Legend. Finney the Legend. And this is Sin City Manny. And he's in custody. He's been charged with murder. He's been charged with murder. So what happened here? Well, so this goes back and forth for a while, and there's the black guy in this situation. And we'll start off with Manny here. This is Manny reacting. And these guys both live in Las Vegas, and they're searching for each other. And this beef goes over copy strikes. But anyways, here's Manny running around looking for Finney. And you'll see where it starts going here from here.
Jerome, I'm out here searching for my baby. The fuck? I went through every fucking casino there is. I heard there's one of my biggest fans here in fucking town. I'm dying to see him. I'm fucking dying to see him. What are we doing? Fuel bar tonight? Is that what we're doing? I'll fucking be there. I'll fucking be there. You better fucking believe it. You come to my city and think I'm not gonna show up? You fucking think I'm not gonna show up? I should have been the first one to be told. Right? Somebody should have sent me my invite. Mr. Marquez. That's right.
This is Sin City Manny. Now, Finney the Legend is this guy here. And I hate to use Vito, but Vito has it posted. So
stay tuned tonight. Put your notifications on. Hit the like and subscribe. Hit the like and subscribe. Hit the notification bell. We'll be back.
now that's Finney and his wife. So Finney and his YouTube page is still up, chat. Finney's YouTube channel still up. Finney the Legend. It says, look at what Sin City family, P. Manny and Julie, did to me, the copyright video. So this is what a copy strike used to look like back, about a year or so ago. And copy strikes are not fun. They're dangerous to your channel. But anyways, here's what happens to his channel. He received a copy strike. You're like, well, that's not good.
Stupid.
And Finney was able to appeal it and actually won. But anyways, here we go.
Stupid.
And this is another one he got.
Dummy. You big dummy. You big dummy. You big dummy. You big cold-blooded dummy. You big dummy. See what you did? Oh, no, you big dummy. Oh, no, you big dummy. You dummy.
So, what did he do? Well, he did a counter notification, and they restored the videos. So, that happened.
Know the song. Sing along. Yeah, you're right. I think you're wrong in the high. I think you're wrong in the high. I think you're wrong in the high. Look at the white dude. Look at the white dude.
So this is all about copy strikes, chat. It's all about copy strikes. Yes, your contents. Well, this started getting serious. What happened? So we're going to break this down here real quick, chat. Because here's how this shit goes. All right, we're going to break this down. This is Finney right here on the right-hand side of the screen. And that was right here is Sin City Manny. This is Finney's wife. Here we go. Yes. Yes. That's him. Why, Manny? Why? Pulling a Gary Plauché over copy strikes, chat. Pulling a Gary Plauché over copy strikes. It was live. This is on a live stream from Sunday, chat. This is 100% on a live stream. Like, I'm not joking. None of them are white. Yeah. Yes, this is Worski's. Worski, no! Worski, no! Don't aim! No, Andy, no! Is this copyright infringement? I mean, technically. I didn't know the counterclaims were served in 9mm. Well. So here you go. Anyways, chat, we're going to keep going here. Bop, bop, bop. You know, Manny's sitting there going, bop, 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 Baran. And he's just shooting that guy full of holes. And then this is Finney's wife here. Look what happens.
Are you fucking kidding me?
So guess what happened? She wanted to jump in the fight now, and guess what happened? She got shot too. So you're like, well, that's good. And you're like, well, what more information can we get out of this? Well, this is a little bit of people kind of setting up what was going to happen. You can see it as it unfolds. This is right outside the Bellagio on the Strip. And right there, guys, that's Finney. That's Finney setting up. That's his wife looking around. And they just already walked by. And Manny's walking towards. Manny walked past them. So yeah, there you go. There you go, chat. copy strikes are a serious business. So, yes, cameras are very important. But yes, this is all chat about copy strikes. Be careful about copy strikes. But yes, remember, the camera is always important. You gotta get the gotta get that content all the time. Manny's getting the needle 100%. That could happen. Did any bystanders get hit? No. The cameraman never dies. Stabby says the dude's still large. No, Manny turned himself into the police this week. So he didn't GoPro his own copyright strike? No. I don't know if the strip is meant to be that way. I'm just saying. Oh God, chat. But yeah, this is a disaster of a thing for a guy out there. Oh no, buddy. Oh no. All right, let me remove this. And then what are we gonna do? All right. Now this one is a bit funny because it's a guy who's an asshole and deserves it. We're just gonna touch on this and we'll get to the big thing that's left. Michael Avenatti, if you guys remember him, he was the scumbag lawyer who was representing Stormy Daniels and claiming he was going to take down Trump. You know, on CNN, they said this is the next president of the United States. Well, Michael Avenatti got nearly 8 more years in prison at resentencing. He got in a lot of trouble for being a shitbag lawyer. And you're like, well, wait, isn't that redundant? And you're like, char. We're not all that bad. So, also, hold on one second, chat. Now, remember, he stole a lot of money. He shook down a lot of companies. One of the people he shook down was and stole from was Stormy Daniels, that whore. And you're like, can you really fault the guy for ripping off a hooker? No, and I don't blame him for that one. But he did other stuff. He did a lot of other stuff. Tried to shake down Nike in an extortion scheme. And what did Nike do? They immediately went to the FBI. So what happened? Well, he was resentenced recently to 135 months of federal prison, or just over 11 years for stealing millions of dollars from his clients. Yeah. This is I think we can all agree that Trump won't pardon him. I know, that's the funny part. So they say Michael Avenatti has done a lot of good things, but he's also done great evil for which he must answer. Now, he had already served 40 months in federal prison for defrauding Stormy Daniels. He will serve 95 more months, or just under 8 years. Oh, no, chat. Now, he had gotten in trouble because he stole $7.9 million from a couple of clients, including a guy who became a paraplegic from being incarcerated at the LA County Jail. He also pled guilty to obstructing the IRS's attempt to collect $3.2 million in payroll taxes from his office business, which was partially built on his client's stolen money, which you're not allowed to do that, Chad, as a lawyer. Now, he was initially sentenced to 14 years in prison. But the Ninth Circuit, because Michael Avenatti appealed, threw out the sentence. And they said the judge had not taken into proper account his legal services and payments he had already made in restitution. And they said the sentence should not, they also said the sentence should not run, they said it should run concurrently with the sentence in the Stormy Daniels case. They said the new sentence represented a reduction of 33 months. So the judge said, fine, I'll give you 13 years in prison. You're like, okay, well, he's still going back to prison for a long time. So Michael Avenatti is 54 years old. He's serving now, stealing money for Stormy Daniels' book, and a separate 30-month sentence for attempting to extort Nike. So it's unclear if that latter sentence will run concurrently or consecutive. So Yeah. Well, he's a little toast there, so. So it just happens. It just happens. He appealed and then he got fucked for even more time. You're just like, suffer, Michael Avenatti. Like, suffer. Oh, you just love to see it. So you just love to see it. They don't know if he's going to appeal, but you just fucking love it. You're like, suffer, Michael Avenatti. Suffer. Oh, wow. And also, chat, hold on here. I think, let me see what's going on with Clyde. Breaking news, chat. Clyde got yelled at by 2.0. He was outside trying to woo in the neighborhood. And what did 2.0 do? She's like, I don't want you doing that anymore. I don't want you doing that anymore. She's like, don't go outside and be a dog. Can you believe that shit? This little cute doggo. She said, don't be a dog. Boo that woman. Clyde was just a good boy trying to, he done do nothing wrong. Look at him. He's just like, nem, nem, nem. Look at him. He's just nem, nem, nem. Getting his back scritches in. He's like, yeah. He's just such a good boy. Is that good, Bubba? I don't ever yell at you like that because I love you. I love you so much. You're such a good boy. Look at him. Oh, chat, look at him. He's like, console me, fat man. Fat man, console me. Come here, Bubba. I love you. Aw. Aw. Yes, Clyde is pardoned on all counts. Yes, he is, because he's too cute. Yep. Aw. Aw. He's such a good boy. Oh. You feel better now, buddy? Huh? Do you feel better now? That mean old woman out there, that mean woman is not going to make you get yelled at again. It's okay. It's okay, Papa. F's in the chat for our buddy. Can I set you down now? I can't do this and stream at the same time, bud. All right, I'm going to set you down, Clyde. He wants some weed. I don't have the weed treats. 2.0 does. It's okay, Bubba. You're okay. Hi, buddy. Hi. I don't have any food up here, buddy, either. So Clyde doesn't care about my streaming. I know he doesn't. Actually, no, hold on. He needs to take his vitamin. Gotta take his Shih Tzu vitamin. Come here, Bubby. Here, look. There you go. There you go. Treats, fat man. Yes. Yes, he's like, fat man, give me treat. Here you go, Bubba. Hey, hold on. There he goes. Yep, he's eating his treats. All right, guys. So we're moving on. It's kind of a thing now. I'm sure you guys have heard about it. The allegations and the rumors about Nick Rekieta using physical force. Well, it did happen, chat. He slapped someone. Nick slapped somebody, and it's not good. It's not good. Who did he slap? Well, it wasn't somebody at the chiropractor's office. It was actually at the courthouse he slapped someone. Nick slapped Monty. Nick slapped Montegraph. No. Did he slap himself? No, he punches himself in the head. But Nick filed an anti-SLAPP motion in his No, Chad. He did not. This is not a lawsuit involving his son, so he couldn't have hit his son or one of his other children. I don't know what you guys are talking about. But what we have is this here. This is the case involving Nick and Montegraph, which Montegraph is now using the services of the esteemed Matthew Hardin of the Hardin Law Office to help deal with Nick Rekieta and the defamation suit. So what do we know? We know a lot of things. It was from yesterday at 4:30 p.m., so it didn't come out till today or get docketed until today. Anyways, it's Steve Quest versus Nick Rekieta. You can look him up very easily. So they say it's a memorandum of law in support of motion for expedited relief to dismiss pursuant to Minnesota's anti-SLAPP law. So you're like, okay, what is it? Let's take a look. Now, first of all, some of you say, what is SLAPP? Well, a SLAPP is a strategic lawsuit against public participation. Many times they're filed as defamation suits between by somebody who's more of a public figure, meaning to silence opposition. So it's not really meant to get a lawsuit victory, but you use it to shut up the other side. So it's a strategic lawsuit against public participation. Now, they talk about Steve Quest, Montegraph, and Monty is a Colorado entertainer, artist, and video producer. Now, it's interesting. They start off with among the works titled as Little Piggy and the Umbrella Man. Remember, chat, I had said this was a snuff film, and then I ended up, I was wrong. And I ended up apologizing to Monty for it because you know what? That's what a man does. If you're wrong, look, I'm sorry. My bad. And at the same time, as a friend, what you would do to somebody who you think is your friend and say, hey, buddy, I'm going to do this. I want to make sure it doesn't hurt your interest. Are you aware of it? Uh-oh. What did I get a text for? Oh, it's a thing. It's a thing there. And what do you do with that? Well, hold on here, chat. I need to do something here. Why is this not working? Hold on, chat. What the heck? Hold on, chat. 1 second. All right, chat. But anyways, yeah, it's very interesting. We start off with this because, even I agree. Yeah, I was wrong on that one. Anyways, it had shocking content. Now, this is weird. Why is this in a different font than that? There's a different size font. Anyways, Nick is a Minnesota attorney, hosts an online video program where he discusses legal proceedings. No, he fucking doesn't. In 2019, Monty made a video legal threat against YouTuber Mr. Medicare regarding commentary about a lawsuit he filed. Rekieta appeared on Medicare's program to discuss a legal threat over this rape murder fantasy movie. Now, Nick Rekieta's commentary is not dry analysis. Oh, yeah. I'm sure. It's dry, unlike his brain. Oh, my God. But, okay. It is made to be entertaining. I guess that's one way of putting it. As characterized by plaintiff, in addition offering legal advice and analysis, Nick engages in hyperbole and comedy. Well, once again, I think, that's an issue of how do you define comedy? Because, sometimes you're like, well, is this comedy or is it fucking horrifying? And you're like, I think it's a little bit of both. I don't know. Oh, buddy, I just don't know how that works overall. So, a little funny there. Oh. Let me see here. I'm going to see if I can find the, where is the thing? I forget what I was looking for now, but anyways, I'll find it later when I need it. I'm sure I'll find it later. And they say that fact is both true and fatal to Quest's claims, that this case is evaluated with integrity and faith through the rule of law. If it is just about Rekieta as abrasive, then perhaps there are more hurdles to overcome, but none that should be placed anywhere in a legal proceeding. So anyways, they're seeking dismissal under Minnesota's anti-SLAPP statute. They say, well, this court denied the prior motion to dismiss the amended complaint pursuant to Colorado's anti-SLAPP law. The court rejected the application of Colorado law. Now, it's funny because it was that stream where Nick lost and he was going through it. He had a cope stream where he watched the video of his legal case. And that's when the coke stream happened. So just keep your eyes peeled, chat. The gods may smile upon us again in a fortuitous way once again. So just be ready when it happens. Now, they say it did so in part because Quest argued these anti-SLAPP laws are unconstitutional. They knew it's not the case when they argued it, and it's no more true now. Well, I think you could argue they are unconstitutional. You know, if you believe they're not, and I'm pretty sure I thought Nick said he doesn't like them. And he says Minnesota's anti-SLAPP law was unconstitutional. Not all anti-SLAPP laws are. And they say Minnesota's passed a new one. And the choice of law issue that informed the court's denial is no longer in play because now they have an anti-SLAPP law. Well, how does that work, though? Well, the plaintiff, who is the plaintiff? An entertainer, artist, and video producer. He used the name Montagraph. His IMDb pages identify him as the writer and rapist in the short film Little Piggy and the Umbrella Man. Well, I mean, is that how that works? Whatever movie you play the role in, people can now just say that shit about you? Like, is that how that works? Because that's a little bit, yeah. Anyways, Monty also describes himself as Roy Warren Marshall or Steve Quest. They also point out he often uses checkerboard imagery and young children in his work. Like, oh, okay, are you sure? The AV Club even has a page dedicated to his, oh, hold on. So they point out that Monty has 78,000 subscribers and over 1.2 million views on his channel. It's not bad amounts at all. I wish I had 70,000 subs. Apparently, there are also videos of Monty essentially fresh kissing a Barbie doll that looks like a little girl. See a list of clips. Montagraph introduces himself to potentially criminal. Oh, am I going to be in this now? Ah! I guess I'm getting deposed at some point, chat. This is great. This is great. Yes, Patrick Bateman is a serial killer now based on this. Yes, based on that, yes. The subpoena's in the mail. Yeah. Shine! Respond to my subpoena, Shine! Fuck. Maybe I'll be an asshole if Nick subpoenas me, and I'll just file a motion to quash and fight the shit out of it here. Litigate it up. If I lose at the common pleas court level, I'll appeal it up to the 11th district, and then I'll try to appeal it to the Supreme Court of Ohio. That'll be fun, chat. Just to fuck with Nick. Could I live stream the deposition? No, I don't want to get in trouble like that. I would be in trouble at that point. Oh, buddy. Well, we'll see here. So, I hadn't read this yet, chat. I was kind of blind reading this here, and I'm like, oh my God. The plaintiff had a bad reputation. the reputation the plaintiff had before defendant said a word about him. Defamation case are about damages of plaintiff. The court cannot evaluate a case without knowing the pre-existing reputation. Yep. Just some highlights are here. As Monograph is known, a Colorado torture porn and snuff film producer, okay, by a guy named Timothy Holmseth. Timothy Charles Holmes self-reports. This sounds like a fucking nutter guy on his own. Like, who the fuck is this guy? I've never heard of him. Never fucking heard of him. Oh, you guys talking about the footnote 5. Rapist. The guy could have chosen anything in the name, but he chose rapist. Well, I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know. Oh. Yeah, who the fuck is this Holmseth guy? Probably some fucking nutter on his own. Monty's been accused of involvement in the JonBenet Ramsey murder by some guy named Chase Kaag. Monograph on the JonBenet Ramsey connection. Oh, I'm sure that's totally fucking credible. I'm sure that guy doesn't sound like a fucking loon. I mean, does Monty sound like a crazy man in his own right at times? Yes. Okay. Monty, I'm sorry. I know I'm going to get learned, but like sometimes you come across as a crazy man, and I think you would agree. But this is just fucking retarded. I don't know who these people are. We're citing these names, and it's like where's fucking like, you know, fucking Moist Critical doing a video on you or some shit, or a Tozy doing a video essay. Like, where are those people? Instead, you get like fucking randos on the internet. You know, they also talk about Chapter 14 of Little Piggy and the Umbrella Man. Says exposed. Welcome to Wonderland. Like, now we're using Reddit. Nick is relying on Reddit to win his case. Oh no, chat. Oh no. So they say before the events of the suit, the video accused Quest of grooming a 15-year-old boy. So it says Monograph groomed a 15-year-old boy, Mighty Buffoon. In 2018 or 19, Quest is accused of having a juvenile record for abusing a 9-year-old boy, which turned out to not be true. So another YouTuber, Drummer 828, created a multi-part series on Quest in response to Monograph stalking and threatening him. Like, well, I'm sure that totally happened, and you weren't just like high on drugs for like 4 days in a row. No, it's totally Monty was chasing you, because that makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of fucking sense. So they say people have reported Quest family members' criminal backgrounds. And they say to his other people here, and they say others reported on Quest's involvement in a campaign of harassment toward one of the parents of a victim of the 2023 tragic Sandy Hook school shooting. How could it be tragic if it was faked? And it says, who is YouTube's Monograph and Agent 19 channel called Hoaxers and Trolls. So he has injected himself into the public debate on COVID by posting videos of himself calling and threatening public health officials, including Anthony Fauci. Based. That's never not based enough, chat. It's always based. Base that turkey. That's how you need it. Is it great to threaten public health officials? Is it ever okay to threaten government officials? Sometimes, yes. Sometimes.
Was this story based? Yes.
Absolutely based. So anyways, an online forum contains a lengthy thing about Monograph having theories about alleged pedophilia, blah, 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 which is all kind of bullshit. They go through a bunch of the names that Monograph has allegedly had. They talk about Monty having sex with a watermelon, which I thought it was like a cantaloupe, not a watermelon, but I guess whatever. But they also talk about Monty's names. Steve Quest, Monograph, Roy Warren Marshall, Dale Ellis Bennett, Umbrella Man, Elite Rule, October Rains, I'm Your Ghost. And oh, look, they're citing the Kiwi Farms. What? Whoa, 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 whoa. Tim Beatty says you're ruining your chance as a witness. Huh? Well, suffer, because this is not... You know, when you keep doing it, it's fucking defamation. Just going, you're a pedo, you're weird. That doesn't fucking work. It's not a funny joke. I'm just saying. So they point out that various users have posted dozens of videos about Monty while discussing his films and everything, but he's here today. I mean, oh. Now they point out one of his dubious claims he's involved with U.S. intelligence agencies. Yes. Okay, I mean, yes, he does write a book where he's like, I'm involved in the Benghazi thing. You're like, are you really? You know, Monty, I'm sure you're a nice guy, but I see no reason why the U.S. government and the intelligence community would work with you in Benghazi to figure out what happened to the ambassador in the annex. Like, I don't... Is that why he put the suit and put on the suit and freedom tie? Who knows? Who knows? Who knows why he did? Maybe he wanted to pretend like he was, you know. Remember, he uses, you know, you know, imitation is the most sincere form of flattery. You know, he called himself actually criminal, and you know, I end up still coming home wearing a shirt and tie doing work. So maybe he's trying to pretend. Like, I get it. I get it. They say a simple search for the term on Twitter shows numerous third-party listings. Okay. Pre-existing state of his reputation was as a top-tier retard. Made by other people. He was known as a weirdo who would try and sue everyone just for the lulz of it. Okay. They're saying he's never won a lawsuit. Okay. So they go on to talk about everything here. Monty has a reputation for unusual sexual proclivities. Like his 2 girls, 1 cup video. Or he told the audience, sniff my feet and lick my sweaty armpits. Okay. Like, okay. So apparently at one point, Google had a search of 1,300 results for Montagraph pedophile. I'm sure if you ask catchy questions about Nick right now, you're going to get like a bunch of hits. Is that the argument we're going down, Mark? I'm just saying, like, you got to be careful. So, oh. Oh, they talk about Monty was reviewing a teen porn site in 2023. Well, yeah. Well, I'm not. Yeah. Okay. Okay. There's even a 2012 video called "Confessions of a Child Pornographer," in which Monty spoke of taking videos of underage girls. They say apparently a search for Montagraph snuff film produced 300 results. Well, that means it's public chat. Like, oh, the Keanu interview was a disaster. Well, did Gabe release any information that was new? Was there anything new? Anyways, they're saying Monty's known to have sex with a melon. Okay. There's a video of him French kissing and fingering a honeydew melon that remains online. They're saying he felt sufficiently popular he could monetize himself using the Devil's Switchboard, you know, Dale Bennett's melon, and his credit card scam. You know, he proclaims himself a Sandy Hook investigator, denying the existence of Adam Lanza, being the first to identify the so-called crisis actors, like the attorney who represented Sandy Hook against InfoWars. So, but yes, he's apparently a Sandy Hook truther now. Oh, wait, Nick. So basically, Nick got to admit that he fucking chokeslammed his son for like no. Like, that's funny. He just got smoked out for that. That's such a weird thing to say, Nick. How would anybody else know that? Huh. They say plaintiff may be a saint. He may be misunderstood. Okay. But the reputation he had before Nick said the first word about him was of a child-obsessed, sexually perverted individual. This is the reputation that he had before Rekieta spoke about him. This is the reputation he had before Rekieta spoke about him. This is the reputation he had before Rekieta spoke about him. Like, holy shit, Mark. Are you retarded or how? Like, pulling the black preacher thing. This is the reputation that he had before Rekieta spoke about him. Like, this is just absolutely fucking obnoxious. But okay. I don't know. Okay, so the plaintiff started this dispute. Well, yeah, normally fucking lawsuits are started by a plaintiff. So he entered the proverbial boxing ring with the defendant. Actually, Monty went to Great Lakes to pick a fight with Rekieta. Nick was the first exposed to Monty following a 2019 live stream and so they talk about everything that happened here. And they talk about the 2019 live stream where Nick went on with Mr. Medicare. And they say Monty called Nick to discuss the live stream, which started a month-long campaign where Monty harassed Nick. So he tried to request numerous third parties, made multiple meme images of Nick. Oh no, Chad, it's memes. Nick's pussy's hurting. And a bunch of videos mocking or insulting Nick. Okay, well, I know somebody's made a bunch of videos where he mocked and insulted somebody. I'm just saying, chat. I'm just saying. I know where that is right now, and I'm leaving that alone. Bella says, I see the judgment you're talking about it. Which one are you talking about? I've talked about a lot of things. So, Monty also made a video mentioning several YouTubers he threatened to visit personally in 2019. Quest unhappy that someone he harassed is spoken about his already disgusting reputation is now bringing his ludicrous lawsuit seeking what? So, they talk about defendant's programming. Nick is a Minnesota attorney. Okay. Citation needed. He practices law. Well, no, he doesn't. Under Rekieta Law, LLC. They talk about the Rekieta Law, LLC articles of an organization. And they say that, and here's the thing. It is a professional firm, and they provide license services. And they say per the statutes, they provide no other services. And now this could be their own little island. How that's going to work here. And it provides no other services. And it's the little island of Rekieta Stan. He's hiding there and hoping it protects him. His own little island. So they say on 2011, Nick created a YouTube channel. In 2017, he began online personality, making law splaining videos. Remember when he used to do that? Originally addressing the matter of Maddox versus Dick Masterson, the original lawsuit, the lawsuit. Although the channel uses the Rekieta Law moniker, his separately incorporated firm does not own or operate it. Rather, it's set forth in the about page. They're owned by Rekieta Media LLC. So that's where we go from here. And they talk about within the first minute of his video, he offered his self-described pretentious opinion while drinking heavily. They're a bottle of 15-year-old Balmore single malt scotch. Well, it's like it's there right in front of us, chat. As part of his entertainment, plaintiff has even commented that he does not know if Nick can eat, who he calls Drunkada, could stay sober long enough to practice law. So they say Nick's rhetoric is not infrequently inflammatory. So they say the language of hyperbole is fun. I mean, but yeah, is he really fun? Is he really? I don't know. So the statements at issue, fucking A, Mark, fucking no widows and orphans. Monty identifies 6 videos containing allegedly actionable statements, though he does not attach them or provide their location. Yeah, well, this sloppy proceeding makes his case DOA, but Nick will indulge the theory for the sake of a complete anti-SLAPP record. So I talk about the October 6th video, which once again, chat, this is like, we're getting the stuff here. So Nick made various false statements to live stream of Megan Fox. Okay. He does that. He talks about it. And then he says, what I just did was deliver a dry joke about what Monograph said. Okay. I'm sure you're just retarded. Oh, I'm sure that's how that goes. And he says, he talks about Monty wanting to fuck watermelons. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Hold on, chat. Not nice. Be nice to the dogs. I'm trying to help Lainey. So, and then Nick goes on to say on the same stream, and then he just figures, I only assume he's fisting himself the entire time. And he says there are some strange people out there, and Monty would like all of them. Well, reading that caused me a little pause because somebody else was licking people in hindsight. Now we know somebody named Nick was licking a guy named Aaron. Isn't that kind of funny how that worked out? And they say it does appear the video shows conduct may have been with a honeydew and not a watermelon. Although, you know what they're saying? Although, you know what, Mark? That's not our problem here. Because they talk about the October 13th video. This is where Nick really gets down to it, and he says, you know, the whole, look, you know, the plaintiff has always been into sucking a little boy dick, which I think is weird, but that's his thing. Look, I'm not here to stop him. I'm just saying he should probably be shot in the fucking head. Montegraph, you're a fucking faggot. Everybody knows you're a faggot. Clip this all you want. Sue me if you want anything. Oh my God. You know, sue me if you want, you fucking child molesting faggot. Oh my gosh. You're like, I remember this shit. You're just like, wow. And he says, do that. How about you try that? Well, he fucking just did it, homie. Oh. Oh, wow. I can't believe just the way, like, some of this shit, I think I remember it at one point. I don't know. And he says that, like, there's another video, October 18th, that there is a There were memes of guns pointed at Monty's head, accompanied by Nick making false statements about the plaintiff. They say, once again, no mention of what Nick said. And they are now moving on to remember, and it's probably in PA. I bet they have similar. Yeah. We're just gonna keep going here, chat. Lotus Smile says, I forgot about all this. Yeah. Sean skipped to the part where Nick's got legal insight. Well, we'll do that here. Oh. So they talk about, and this is where you get back to in October 18th of 2022, there's the whole sweaty sausage squad that's yeah. Now the October 28th videos, they talk more and more and more. And this is where I think I come in, because this is the one I'm pretty sure I was there when he talked about it. I think this is. But what about the child porn? Oh. Andrew Scoobers is only slightly less cringe than Keanu Cast. Well, yeah, we all have our crosses to bear. Chat. So, according to the next video in the meta complaint, Quest says that Nick said that was making a stuff film about a kid, and that Quest had made such a film that Nick was suggesting Monty made a nasty movie about a kid. And that's why Monty does not have a good name. And then Nick said, nobody goes, huh? They say, who's Steve Quest? And they say, who is this monograph? Oh, he's a fine, upstanding citizen. Nobody does. And bro, I'll take my name over yours. Your good name is garbage, and that's no joke. That's the straight talk, yeah. Because Nick gives you straight talk. That's all Nick does. Straight talk. So they talk about, once again, Monty allegedly filing a frivolous bar complaint, which who knows, I don't know if that was ever proven. So and this is where Nick says to him, you don't have a good name, you don't know, you have an image or branding problem. That's not criticism. Everything I said about you, the real stuff like the watermelon, and the joke stuff like the kid stuff. So, and the joke stuff like the kid stuff. People can reasonably form those opinions about you because you made that really fucking weird movie. And there's articles written about that really weird fucking movie. The snuff film of the kid that you made, that one you bragged about. And it says, Monty, you've got a real image problem. Well, yeah, that's funny how that turned around, huh? Who's got the image problem now? And he says, bro, I'll take mine over yours. Your good name is garbage, and that's no jokes. This is straight talk right to you. Oh my God, it's so funny watching the pompousness here. And he says, Monty is a fucking retard. You're dumb, Monty. You don't make any money. And then he says, Nick having been drinking during the entire stream. He has to talk about this lawsuit from 4 hours and 18 minutes in to 4 hours and 19 minutes in. The context of discussing the amount and controversy, Nick says, I would love for him to prove any damages at all. That would be great. Monty, you don't make any money. You're a weird, broke person on the internet, Montagraph, and on these subjects may actually be liable proof. So, and you're saying, I think he got removed from streaming because he was broadcasting, and there's creepy shit with kids. Like everything I've said about Monograph, it's based on a reasonable understanding. It was on my persona. Now, there's more and more they talk about here, like a January 23 video, what he's done here. And this is where he says that Monty's a faggot and Monty sucks little boys' cocks. Yeah, there you go. So they talk about Minnesota's new anti-SLAPP law as a variation in the Uniform Public Expression Act. UEPA. I don't know how you want to. UPPA. So it provides a mechanism for the early dismissal of lawsuits that are targets of exercise protected constitutional rights. So once again, chat, that's what SLAPP lawsuits do. They protect the First Amendment rights of people. So they say it doesn't involve a court to disapprove of a defendant's speech and deny him the right to engage in it. And it says it creates substantial immunity, preventing interlocutory appeal. And they say that here, hold on here. The statute applies to any cause of action based on and relevant part of the defendant's exercise of the right of free speech or freedom of the press. Well, once again, Chad, I guess that's what he counts for. And they say deciding anti-SLAPP motion is a two-pronged process. First, you must demonstrate the claims arise from enacted furtherance of the right of free speech or of the press. And they say if anybody fails to meet that burden, the court should grant the motion if the responding party fails to establish a prima facie case. As to each element of the cause, the moving party establishes that they fail to state a cause or there's no genuine issue of material fact. So, but not before a certain date, yes. And that's the thing here that's not listed. There's a date limitation here. And they don't get to this. They just go on and on and on and on about this, but where's the date? Where's the date? Where's the date here? Where is the date here? You don't see a date. You're arguing that, this is timely and it's acceptable. Like, are you sure? Are you sure? Because, yeah, if you look it up, I mean, it's a bit of a problem here. When you go to the statute, it says these sections do not affect the cause of action asserted before May 25th, 2024 in a civil action. You're like, okay, well, Nick, Rekieta Bros, I think we got a problem here. I mean, what day did Nick get sued? Because what day was the case initiated? I don't know, chat. We're going to look it together. It was in 2023. That's what I thought. Uh-oh, chat. Oh, no. Oh, no! Nick! No! Here you go, chat. Here you go. We got to look for... Where is he? Right here. It moved when I scrolled. Steve Quest versus Nick Rekieta. Date filed. Oh, no, Rekieta Bros. Rekieta Bros! I don't feel so good. Rendaza didn't look this up. I don't know. He was too busy acting like a Redditor and being smug while he wrote it. So yeah, good for him. Good for him, Nick. You just walked right into this now. Holy shit. So this doesn't apply. It's not protected conduct. It doesn't matter. It's not covered. This is all worthless. This is all garbage. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. His claims are meritless. Well, it doesn't matter. These are. Oh, none of this works, chat. None of this works. None of this works. None of this works. This just doesn't. This doesn't work, guys. We're just gonna skip. There's nothing to do here. You skip to the end. You skip to the end. You skip to the end. You have no protections, Nick. This is entirely garbage. This is entirely garbage. I mean, yeah, these are not the court granting anti-SLAPP motion. No, you don't qualify. Once again, it's a civil lawsuit filed after May 2023. I mean, it is. Is this another one for the toe? I mean, it kind of looks like it. What I will say here is, ultimately, I guess I'll put it like this. Mark Randazza did a great job at trying to get the Colorado choice of law case and stuff in for Nick and his lawsuit. I got it. I thought it was very well done. And the courts agree, like, they almost sided with him for the slimmest of margins. And the slimmest of margins were that the Colorado courts had not fully got this idea fleshed out, and there was still conflict between the judicial circuits. Had that not happened, chat, had that not been an issue, they would have given Nick the thing. Nick would have got the dub. Nick was this close to getting the dub on the Colorado law stuff. So yeah, this is another L for Nick. I don't know how he thinks he's going to win, because literally the statute says you can't use it for anything that comes, for a motion asserted before May 2024. So good stuff, I guess. I mean, I just don't know how he's going to do this. Is the camera looking for Trump? I don't know what happened. The AI tracking started taking over. It's been doing that lately. What a savings. Yet again, Nick will be denied. I think he will be. I just don't know where you go with, like, Nick. What is the point? Like, you're just giving Randazza fucking money at this point. Like, you're just going to rack up a bill. I just don't know how this works. I mean, like, I'm willing to admit, I mean, I'm a big old moron. I could be wrong. I could be a stupid lawyer from Ohio. Like, I get it. I'm willing to, like, if the points prove me wrong, that's fine. But I don't even see where you guys are going with this. I don't see where we're going with this at all at this point. Well, I don't know what we're going to do here, but yes. Damn it, Nick, we lost the case again. I'm a simple Southern lawyer. The way it works, the attorney's website accepts credit cards as how. Well, thank you. Imagine having to settle a monograph. I mean, just apologize to him, man. Like, look, man, I was wrong. Monograph seems pretty, like, civil about this. Like, he might not make Nick suffer. Like, he might be like, okay, you're still gonna have to do stuff for me. But I don't understand it. This is worse than what Frank White did. And here's the problem. Mark Randazza is a good attorney. He's a good attorney. He's a lot better than Frank White. And he's pulling a Frank White. I just don't get it, guys. I don't get it. Oh, I don't understand it, because this is a fucking awful thing. Like, there's a statute, and the statute says when you can use it, and they're literally not paying attention to that. So, I don't know. But just reading that was just tiring, and maybe you want to fall asleep. It's fucking garbage. Fucking garbage. Oh. Absolute garbage. So, Jefferson Post says, will SJC ever give a good likely to succeed test? I don't know. Stephen Bunt says, tell me, how are union strikes legal? I pay dues so they negotiate for me. If I have to strike to get what I want, what do I pay them for? Well, the idea is with the union, you're bargaining in strength. It's collective bargaining, so you're not having to sit there and fight for yourself. Now, they tell you they serve uses, but do they? I mean, I think there's a bit of an issue when a business owner's forced by law to to cooperate with them. I think you should have the right to say, I don't want unions in my shop, but they have made their way in places, so. But yeah, there's, like I said, there's guys I know who are you know, they really like their unions, and some guys really don't. It's really up to like how your union's doing for you. Jefferson Post says was going to watch Keanu, but this channel has come for you. Well, thank you. Gary, I'm sorry, Stephen Bunt says, I'm a target. Can you explain Norby subject to the same offense to be put twice in jeopardy? It says not about jury, it's about prosecution. Yeah, because you could be a bench trial, and that could be double jeopardy also. But typically people sat in front of juries. Jesus Love You says, woo! Yes. Jefferson Post says, I argue the melon was underripe, therefore PDF. Well, if the melon was underripe, therefore underage, Nick could watch it in that Redo a Healer anime if he likes so much. How about that? How about that, chat? How about that? Meme, what are you saying, Meme? Hold on here. Meme is saying, Keanu Bros, yeah. Meme Copium confessed to Nick for no reason. Yeah, well, I'm sure Keanu did really good for money, so good for her on that. Good for her on that. I know some of you guys actually were going to talk to Gabe, and it's like, look, I've heard the stories, all that. I kind of feel like it's outside of my the way I do the channel here, because it's one thing like if the guy was just like, you know, it's not my thing. It's not the way I do stuff. It's not how I cover stuff. Like, I'm not big on the hot goss unless I'm trolling somebody. But here, the hot goss is kind of like what Kiki's channel. I think Kiki does pretty good. So that's why I'm glad he went and saw her. So. Oh. That's kind of what I think there. Attention span was 10 minutes, not 8 hours. It's still going, making Nick sit and watch all of it. Well, that's hilarious. The note so far looks like it was written by Nick. Well, the way it like keeps repeating itself is like very Russell Greer like, and I'm just like, I don't know. I don't want to be near that when it goes melting down. I don't want to be anywhere near it. I mean, on top of the batteries exploding, like, you know, you like just everything's gonna explode on this. It's like the electric cars in LA. You know, you light the car on fire, it's one thing, but these cars are full of lithium batteries and they're just gonna explode and burn. It's like it's just gonna keep going. It's only gonna keep going. It's only a matter of time before the law tubers started filing suits against each other. Well, Monty's not a law tuber, so. But I'm sure Nick is going to try to file a lawsuit against one of us soon. Were there any images in the filing? Do we need a porn check? No. But I will say, it gets fucking hilarious here. Like, how Spurgy, like, as much as they want to make fun of Monty for being a Spurg here, this is fucking hilarioso here. This is fucking hilarious, chat. Like, if you guys want to see fucking mental, look at what they had to do here. So, So when we go to this is Minnesota court records online. So look at how this works here. Look at how this works here. All right, there we go. So this one right here is here we go. This is all the things that were filed today on the 11th or 12th. Like, look at this, 79 documents, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85. There's a, like, this is just ridiculous. Look at how many documents there are here. Look at how many fucking documents there are. Like, this is just, wow. It just keeps going and going and going and going and going and going and going. Look how much shit is here. Like, this stuff is just ridiculous, chat. It's absolutely ridiculous. What are we doing? What are we doing, guys? Like, this is just absolute freaking nonsense. I mean, I don't see how you could do this for, like, look, just look at these entries. Boop, 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 boop. Oh my gosh. I just don't understand what you do with these many things. I don't know what you do with these many things. I don't know. I just don't know. More pages than sandwiches. I get it, but I just don't know what you do here. This is almost worse than Russell, except you can understand all of it. So I just don't know what they do here. Wait, Nick filed all this today? Yes! This is all filed today. These are their exhibits. These are all their fucking exhibits, like fucking Spurgtown. This is all exhibits by Nick. Like, this is fucking ridiculous. Oh God, it's so. I just don't know what you do with this shit. I just don't know what you do with it. Like, what are you getting out of this? Like, the file date 6/11, yeah. These were filed today. Well, like, they were filed yesterday, but they didn't get uploaded till today, Anderson, because nobody saw them till today. But just holy shit. When's the remote hearing? It is July 8th or June 18th. Did I check any of these out? A couple, but like not for long because I got other shit to do. Can't sit there and just read them all. I go crazy. So let me see here. Did I get through all the stories tonight? Yeah. There is one more thing, chat. The FBI got its ass kicked in that Supreme Court case. We heard about them raiding the wrong house. Spoiler alert, FBI got BTFO'd. We're going to save that for this weekend or maybe sometime coming up to read. It's very interesting to read how well they beat the FBI's ass. It is hilarious as it goes. And it's all done there. So it was a 9-0 decision from the Supreme Court on that case. So also check. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back. All right, we're back. Oh, Runkle. Hi, Runkle. Guys, friend of the show, Runkle. Hope he's doing well. Hope you're a little like a good elf. He's making a little woodland hideaway. He's got an outhouse delivered, and now he can sit there at length and play with the moose and bear that roam his land in perfect harmony. Runkle, hope you're doing well, man. So yeah, the only other thing left, guys, Karen retrial. Closing arguments are tomorrow. And Runkle, I'm going to send you a DM because we should watch the because I know you're probably going to watch it late, but watch the closing arguments together. So guys, yes, the Karen Read trial is over. Closing arguments are tomorrow. They start in the morning. If you guys want to watch them then. We'll be watching in the evening myself. I know Runkle probably will too. I think Karen's got a better chance than I thought she was going to have. Dr. Rentschler and Dr. Laposado basically saved her ass, I think. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. The one thing I want to prepare you guys for, and we'll talk about it later. Remember, Karen could still get convicted. And based on the evidence available, the jury could say, look, there's glass on John O'Keefe, came from a tail light. She probably hit him, good enough for government work, and call it a day. Sadly, they could do it that way. Be prepared for that. It's a real possibility. Like I said, she's got a 50-50 shot, guys. I'm not going to go lower than 50-50 on the odds. I'm not going to give her better odds than 50-50. But her attorneys and team did a phenomenal job. So we're going to keep watch to see how it happens. But as if you guys didn't hear earlier today, Bev went through stuff. The jury's getting the case tomorrow. They're going to start deliberating tomorrow. I think Bev is trying to force a decision right off the bat, which we'll see if anything happens there. Uncle says he scared me off. Oh, snort, snort, I'm back. Well, let's talk about support. Whole lack of support. Yes. I need a Runkle, the Bailey, in Potentially Criminal and Mark Betterow stream. Oh, I mean, I don't know. I'm like small time compared to some of these other channels. I don't know if somebody like Mark Betterow would grace himself onto an establishment like this. But if he would, that'd be great. I'll have to see. Kurt's saying, yeah, Kurt thinks she's got an 80-20 chance of good verdict versus bad verdict. I mean, I can understand that, but I will tell you, chat, it's what I tell my clients. I don't care how good your case is. It's still 50-50 at the end of the day. I can't guarantee it ain't better than that. But I understand there's times where it probably is better than 50-50, but I can't guarantee it because a jury trial at the end of the day is a coin flip. It's a coin flip, and it's the scariest fucking coin flip you'll ever do in your life. So, yeah. The last two experts were amazing. So, Tim saying manslaughter is my guess, not more than 2 years of prison. Oh God, if Bev gets the chance, she's shipping Karen's ass for a while, man. Don't you bother. I hope that she only gets like that. She is gonna get nuked if that happens. Was any of the questioning about the Burgess's CV done in front of the jury? Yeah, a lot of it was. So you're saying if they come back tomorrow, is it good or bad? I mean, if the jury comes back right off the bat, like generally it's very bad. But remember, OJ came back in 4 hours, and that was an 8-month trial. It came back right away. And Johnny Cochran's like yelling on his phone, like, that's not right. They didn't do something right. And they came back and the jury acquitted. I kind of get the feeling if it's quick right out the bat, Karen's probably convicted. So Debbie says for $5, the appeals court already granted a stay of the order in the California National Guard case. Can you tell us what it says? I have not seen it yet. Let me look for it. I'm sure they're saying the order stayed until we have briefings on it. So, yes, Trump still retains control of the National Guard in California, and those National Guard are still on federal orders. I'm sure that's what it says. I just don't know what they're doing. But thank you for informing me, Debbie, and thank you for the super chat. Mistrial's a loss. The Commonwealth will keep trying and run Karen out of money. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think at this point, I think that's what's going to happen here. But like, there's going to be a lot more pressure to get her out after this because I don't know how much more you can do because literally you're just going to redo the trial again. There's not going to be a new theory anymore. The state, the Commonwealth's already wasted all this time on Dr. Welcher. I don't know what they could do again going forward. So, but yeah, I think she's probably going to get a hung jury out of this. So, Let me see here. Yes, she will be in prison for many years before her case, the result on her appeal, is heard. You're looking at probably like 4 or 5 years. So easily happen. Aperture will not show up for the prosecutor again. Yeah, well, that's going to be a whole issue for them. That's going to be a whole issue for Aperture. So, yeah. Karen Reed 3.0, here we come. I don't know, man. I don't know if the prosecutors got the wherewithal to do that. You know, they act like they do, but I don't think they do. So. All right, chat. With that said, we will get on Karen Reed tomorrow. And coming up very quickly, chat, we're going to get back to normal programming, which will be fun. I know we like Karen Reed, but I know we like doing other stuff. We kind of like the normal schedule. So we're going to do that. I think third trial will be better. Lawyers will feel almost compelled to tell the state to eat shit after this nonsense. No, I mean, the more and more times you go up, the better and better the state gets at stuff. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. But like I said, guys, the odds are, hung jury mistrial, and then second place, you got first place is hung jury. Second place and third place are tied. So basically, second place is going to be an acquittal or a conviction on the lesser offenses, the lessers of murder. So probably manslaughter or the OVI leaving the scene of an accident. That's probably what it'll be. So that's kind of what I think. Pete says we need more model content as the world turns. We will. We'll do models on Saturday night. We've got the train to work on. We could probably get a bunch of it done, actually, but we'll do it. Told Bucky so my money's on not guilty. I hope so. Hope I'm wrong. Hope I'm wrong in a good way. Tech Guy South says Sean Shoe-in of the week. Yes. Karen gets a mistrial. No, sir. Says, can they ask for a change of venue? Not like that. No. That's not why you asked for a change of venue. There's no way people haven't heard about the case by then. Yeah, but they'll find people. There's always a normie out there that hasn't heard of it. So we'll totally see. We will totally see. And we will get on this tomorrow, chat. So with that said, chat, I will see you guys tomorrow. And just remember, until next time, just because you did it does not mean you're guilty. And that does not include Michael Avenatti. That does not include a lot of people. Yes, Stephen Butt says, sorry, Sleepy Sean. I meant Karen. Tried twice. Double jeopardy. Not about the jury. It's about the trial. Tried twice for the same crime. Yes, but you have to be in jeopardy. And the courts disagree. So as much as me and you might agree, the courts have always disagreed on these arguments for a long time now. So yeah, but guys, as I said, I'm sorry tonight. It's been a bad. It's probably not the best show ever. I know I've been a little sleepy here, so my apologies to you guys. I am so sorry. Don't mean to give you guys an subpar product. Who's messaging me right now? Who just messaged me? So, it was fine. I'm like, I don't know. I don't feel it was good. I feel like it was kind of a bad show. I didn't give you guys a good product. Feel like I didn't give you guys a good product. So, just feel like I didn't. So, just being honest with myself. It's always got to be honest, chat. You always got to be honest.
Let's be honest.
It's always about honesty. Always about honesty. Anyways, chat, remember, that said, though, Michael Avenatti still not. Yeah, he's guilty. Karen Reed still not guilty. Rekieta probably going to be liable for defamation. Just didn't work out for people there. Harvey Weinstein, he's not guilty. Still, he's guilty. So, for a lot of you, though, you chat, all of you out there, you guys are still not guilty. That's the most important thing. You're still not guilty. So, good night, chat, and I will talk to you guys later. I'll see you guys over on Locals. Join me over at Locals, potentiallycriminal.locals.com. Use the promo code Summertime 2025 and get on in there. It's a fun time tonight. We're going to hang out and do all kinds of shit you guys won't get to see if you don't join. So see you guys there.
Weapons, blacksmithing, and models of planes, esoteric works, and even some trains. Much merriment had while drinking White Claws, tips on hunting, and even talking the law. Whatever you do, just don't talk to cops, even when they nab you on illegal stops. Just 'cause you did it doesn't mean you're guilty, but please talk to a local attorney. Was that the fat guy Rekieta yelled at? Why, yes it was, he even knows he's fat. For all this fun